Hello, and welcome to my Shauna May Draw With Me series. In each episode, you'll be getting step-by-step art sessions on the fundamentals of drawing, coloring techniques, and animation. So get your drawing supplies ready because we're about to begin today's lesson.
For today's lesson, you will need a lead pencil with a good eraser, a sketch pad or a blank sheet of paper, color pencils, a ruler, a table or desk with a nice flat surface to draw on, a room with good lighting, and a comfortable chair to sit in.
Okay, so for this lesson, I wanted to go over different shading techniques for when using colors. And I even decided to use a different program for this lesson because Flash won't be able to give me the accurate different pressures that I need for me to be able to facilitate this lesson. So I decided to use Medibang for today. So I want to go over just two different shading technique styles that you can use for coloring. And both of them have their place in different areas or depending on what you're coloring in. So let's just go over the shading styles first, and then after that I'll show you what they're used for. So you're going to make two rectangles on your page. One, two. And for the top rectangle that you make, you're going to label it solid. And then for the bottom one, we're going to label it gradient. Now for the solid, we're going to break this up into 5 sections, okay? So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Alright, and the gradient you're just going to leave alone. It's just going to be all one continuous space like this. Alright, so now what I want to do is grab a color. So let's use blue for the top one. I'll just use blue. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and what I want you to do, is you're going to shade in these squares, but you're going to leave the one all the way in the back blank. Okay, we're going to leave that one white, and what we have to do is get from dark to light. Okay, so this first one is going to be pretty dark, so you want to shade this in really hard with your color pencil. Okay, try to fill up that entire square and make sure that no white showing. The less white showing, the darker that your color is. And be sure to apply pressure to your color pencils. That's the thing I like about using color pencils, is that you can always make it as dark as you want or as light as you want. It's pretty easy to control. And just to throw it out there, I prefer using Crayola color pencils. I like their brand of color pencils. I know there's like some really good art brand color pencils too, but like a really good basic color pencils to start off with would be Crayola. So this one is super dark, right? And then my next one is going to be a little lighter. Okay. And then the next one is going to be lighter, right? And this one even lighter. Until it is white. Alright, so we went from dark to light. And this is the solid color style of shading, okay? I'm just adding a little bit more to try to cover up that white. You don't really have to, but when you cover up the white, sometimes it looks a lot better when you cover up the white. Okay, so you're going to see this style of shading on solid surface objects. Okay, and I'm going to give an example of that after we go over the gradient. So now I'm going to jump down to the gradient, and I'm going to change my color just for the fun of it. You don't really have to do this, but yeah, you don't have to stick with the same color either. Now for the gradient one, this one is going to fade out from dark to light. It's just going to fade out. It's not going to be solid sections or anything for the gradient, okay? So when you shade in something with the gradient style, you start off really dark. Okay, so in this case, being as though I'm shading in this rectangle, as I go towards the right area, the right side, I want to get lighter and lighter, okay? And you can definitely control that with the color pencils. In some cases, it's better to start off from the light to go to dark. So if you have to do it that way, that's fine too. Okay. You see how that transition is fading out. Okay. In this case, it's harder on my end for me to cover up the white area. I could if I want to, but it'll take even longer. I just want to get the point across of the way you shade in a gradient fade. Okay, you wanted to gradually transition to the white. Okay, so when you see this style of shading, usually this is on more rounded surface objects. Okay, so you'll probably see something like this on something that's shaped like a pipe or anything that has like a cylinder shaped form. So let's apply these style of shadings to the objects that you'll see them on. So first I'm going to start with the solid color one. So I'm going to draw a square, or should I say a three-dimensional rectangle. Okay. So notice that this object has flat surfaces. All right, the size of it is flat, the top of it is flat. So I'm going to apply this shading technique to this, okay? This is where you will see the solid more. All right, so let's say I'm going to create like a real quick random source of light, okay? So the light is mostly coming from the left side. So you'll see most of the dark areas on the right side, okay? So let's go on ahead and just apply this shading style to it. So the top of it, you want it super light. You can even leave it white sometimes. I want to make sure that this is super light. Okay. And depending on what angle your light is on, sometimes this side will be just a little bit darker because it's not on the top. All right, being as though my sun is mostly on the top, that should be the lightest area. And then this side has the less light, so I want this to be the darkest. Okay. So as you shade in your objects, you can determine which side, using the little solid chart that we just created, which color will go where, okay? Based off of however your light is hitting the object. All right, for example, I use this one for the darkest area, right? Because it's less light over here. Then this one for the second light area, or the second darkest area. And I use this lightest color blue for the top, okay? Because that's where my light source is mainly coming from. All right. Add just a little bit more detail to my sun. There we go. Put a little more color in there. Okay, so let's move on to the gradient style. Now, as I said earlier, the gradient you'll probably see more on a cylinder or rounded off shaped object. In this case, let's just go with a cylinder. So I'm gonna start off with 2 ovals to make my cylinder. Actually, I'm just gonna make 1 oval. I'm gonna round off this side. Okay, so here's my cylinder. Now I'm gonna use the gradient style technique to shade in the cylinder. So you can have a light source somewhere, but it doesn't really matter. What's important is that you have the whole gradient color style in there. So somewhere in the center is where it's going to get light. That means at the top and the bottom will start dark, and then as I go towards that center, I get lighter and lighter until it's white. Same thing for the top of this. And start off really light, really dark, and then we'll get lighter and lighter. Okay. Notice that my light source isn't directly in the center. Okay. That's because if my light source is higher up, then this light is not going to be directly in the center. Yeah, depending on wherever your light source is going to be, that determines where you center that light source, that light that's going to be on the actual object. In this case, being as though my light source is coming from higher up, it shouldn't be in the center for sure. Okay, so just keep that in mind for when you're shading in objects. The same thing goes for a sphere. Okay, let's say you have a sphere, right, and then you have your light source on this side. Then maybe you want to start with a highlight here, okay, and just make everything that's going towards that highlight get lighter and lighter as it gets closer to the highlight. So I'll start off darker around the edges. Okay. And then get lighter and lighter as I get towards the center. Okay, so these are some simple techniques to keep in mind when coloring with the solid and the gradient when you're shading in with colors. So I want to do a part 2 of this lesson, and we're going to actually color in actual objects, actual things, instead of just basic shape objects, 3-dimensional objects. So that's it for this lesson, and you know, just try it out. Let me know how it works out for you, and if there's anything else that you'd like me to cover for coloring. I want to eventually get into like showing like watercolors and stuff like that, but right now I'm just starting off with the digital stuff because it's easier to record for me right now until I get into recording on paper. So that's it for this lesson, and until next time. If this lesson has helped you, then hit that like and subscribe button. You can also check out some of my other videos. Feel free to leave a comment or suggestions for future videos you would like to see me do. Thank you for watching, and God bless.